right, what's up Twitch? What's up YouTube? This is BrackCast number 41, and today we're going to be talking about ghosting. We have a cool panel today, a very full, balanced panel. We'll go into introductions pretty soon. So we meet up every week on Thursdays, generally 10:30 p.m. Eastern. It's generally we're late, but I might try to bump this up an hour sooner next week. But this week's topic was inspired by an Instagram post that one of my friends shared. He might show up. His name's Ren. He might come up and join us today. And it's specifically, it's as if you were someone who ghosts someone else. It's like a letter that you would write to the person you ghosting. So it's in the manner of the person ghosting. This letter or message is supposed to explain why they're ghosting. So I would like to post that up as an example, but we'll wait to see if Beth can make it. First, we'll go around. Hi, I'm FJ. That's me. Then we got Paul.
Hey.
It's Paul over there. He's coming in from Detroit. Then we got Paige.
Hey everyone.
She's coming from
Toronto.
Then we got Krista.
Hi.
From
Toronto, I guess.
I just figured we'll say it. And we got Sharon at the corner.
Hello, I'm from Brampton.
Brampton. Oh yeah, I'm FJ from Markham. And we got Deji.
Yo, Mississauga, what up?
Yeah.
All right, Deji's gonna show his burger because we've all been anticipating his
so
craft.
Okay, hold on. I don't want this to
gonna
spill over.
He's gonna show us his meat.
Oh,
Oh, dude, that's like
wow.
a Big Mac, like a house
Holy.
Mac.
I will eat this off camera though.
all right, that's fine. That's fair.
ASMR, man. Just,
Okay. All right. We got one more, hopefully coming, at least. Beth, we're working with some technical difficulties, also from Toronto. All right. Beth, if you're watching, I hope you can make it soon. I don't know if you sent her the
She's,
Twitch link. Yeah.
She's currently downloading Chrome. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh.
I feel like there's a lot going on.
Okay. I will send this in the chat there if she wants to watch for now. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the example of this letter. Here it is, and I'll read it out loud for everyone. And it says, what someone is really saying when they ghost you. Hi, I'm terrified of feeling uncomfortable, having emotionally mature conversations, and experiencing any emotions from you that are less than positive. But it's really hard to admit, so I just need to avoid the truth altogether, which is simply that I'm just not into this at this point in my life. I have some work to do, and right now, my avoidance is more important to me than your feelings. I hope you meet someone who is ready for what you have to offer, because I'm not yet. Best, Ghost. P.S. I'm sorry if I pretend not to notice you in public. Please see the scared child in me. And this was a post by Neil Strauss on Instagram. Silence speaks volumes, and this has received over 15,000 likes. I'm trying to understand why. So, back to this view. First off, I guess by hands, like how many people read this and empathize with what's being conveyed in the message and think like it's like real? Like how many times do you think as a ghoster or being ghosted, how many times do you think that message applied to that experience? Anybody?
That exact message?
Well, yeah, the sentiment like that it's like a vulnerability issue, and it comes from fear, from an unwanted fear of like showing to them this at face front, so that they'd rather ghost than show the vulnerability. I don't believe it. I thought it was bullshit as soon as I read it, and I was like, what? like whoever wrote this is just making up, trying to like legitimately make some nice sounding, intelligent excuse for poor behavior. That's what I looked at it as. But Ren has different thoughts, and I hope he makes it, because he was an advocate. He liked it. He's one of the people who liked it. Calling him out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. Well, you're allowed to write your own story if someone ghosts you. Like, you're allowed to write whatever story that helps you move on from whatever it is. So I think having that whole entire thing where, you know, they explain that, you know, it is the insecurities, whether it's the person is feeling that way or not, it doesn't matter, because they ghosted you. It's like you get to write that story and that ending. You know, you can take control of that situation if you don't feel like you don't have control at all. So I think it's a great idea just to fill in the blanks yourself.
Like,
whatever's best with you.
Specific with the example, or just individually, everyone's experience?
Individually, any kind of time someone's ghosted, really, like, you get to write your kind of ending, you know. For example, like, from personal experience, I won't take too long, hopefully. Like, I was dating this girl and we broke up, and this is like when I first came to Detroit, and it was like hard because like I didn't have any other friends in Detroit at the time, so I like spent every like day with her. And then what ended up happening was like she was like, hey, I'm moving to LA, and pretty much like we can't see each other anymore. And then like she pretty much like deleted me off all socials. She like blocked me and all this shit and everything. And then like I was like, you know, I was crushed. You know, I was heartbroken. But then I was actually listening to a podcast. Not a podcast. Yeah, it was a podcast from like a life coach about like this kind of stuff. And yeah, pretty much same kind of situation. You know, true closure comes from within and from with yourself. So you're free to write whatever story in this ending is. So, you know, the story that I developed in my head, whether it's true or not, you know, like I understand that. But like the one that sits with me was made her harder to move to LA by talking to me and still seeing me. So it's easier to just cut it off completely. And that sat well with me. So I was like, you know, I don't know if that's the answer, but that's the answer that's in my head.
Okay.
So I move on.
Anyone want to chime in? Initial response to the message itself or an experience?
So that last response brought up a good question. Like, what is the definition of, or what is everyone's definition of ghosting? Because, you know, like someone breaking up with you and then cutting off all contact, I don't know if I would consider that ghosting. And if that is ghosting, fuck, I'm a ghost.
I don't think
Same.
so. No, I don't think I don't think so. I mean, cutting someone out that from a terminated relationship is, I think, part of the process for some people. Like, it's kind of a necessary thing that you got to do. I will say my definition of ghosting, and then if you guys do have differing views on what it is, feel free. I think ghosting is when two individuals express at least a little bit of, have invested a little bit of attention towards each other. And then it's an established exchange of communication. And then a sudden stop of that communication. Like where it's in the middle of it, and all of a sudden, like when it's an expected exchanged conversation, one of the parties leaves and disappears and never comes back. That, I think, is ghosting. So there's already established kind of an investment towards each other, or at least interest, and then it's perceived conversation. So it's equivalent to if you're talking to someone in person and then you ask them a question and then they turn around and leave the room and never come back. That's what I think.
Is it one question? Like, I'm super ADD. Like, I have like 5,000 unread emails. So is it one question, or is it like, okay, we give them the benefit of the doubt and ask them another question and they still don't answer?
I do think that's a good point. But if the other individual who asked the question and then all of a sudden is ignored decides to follow up with like, hey, hope you're okay or whatever, and then that behavior persists, like it's like because it's one thing to even not delete the person. I do think it's even better. It's more clear if you delete, like on an app. If you match with someone, you're chatting, and then someone just stops talking. If they delete, that's like a clear, hey, I'm not interested anymore. But if they're still there, their profile's still there, the conversation's still there, but they just don't respond. And you try multiple times, 2-3 more times, and be like, hey, figure I'll try one more time, or whatever. I will give it, if the girl, for me, if that girl is very attractive and I'm that interested, I'll probably try 2 more times. Where I would give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what? You're probably bombarded with messages in your inbox, so I know that bumps me down. I'll try 1 more time. What? 2?
What?
Oh, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I would be like, I'd follow up and be like, hey, I just figured I'd try and follow up, see if you got my last message. That's it. And then a 3rd time, and that 3rd time is if it's like a month later, I'm like, and I see it again, and I'm like, why not? Here's like,
after you guys had like significant dialogue, or was that just like, hey, what's up?
I don't think a couple of haze doesn't really warrant that. You kind of just know, like, yeah, that's not the same. But once you're like, you're talking, like it feels like a conversation, where it actually feels like an exchange, and then they just stop. So yeah, I might do a 3rd time if they're that hot. Anyway, that's my definition of ghosting. Feel free, go ahead. Anyone else? What do you think? Disagree? Is it too light? Should it be deeper than that? Like, guys?
Yeah, I would agree with that, like, as a starting point.
As a starting point, okay.
I think, like, I've been ghosted in that manner, but also in a deeper sense, so.
Care to embellish? Not embellish, sorry, elaborate.
I mean, like, being in what seems like a actual relationship and then being ghosted.
Oh, yes.
Right, like, you've met each other, you've spent time, you've been intimate, ghost, nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not just once, that's like 3 times.
So definitely a perceived investment and exchange back and forth, and then out of character, gone, right? Like it just catches you off guard, like you're not expecting it, right? Yeah. So I agree with that too, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anyone else want to add what ghosting is? Sharon?
I was just gonna say, like, I think my definition is a little more, I don't know. I wouldn't say, if you're on an app and you haven't met in person, I wouldn't, especially right now with the pandemic and all this fatigue that everyone's feeling, like, I find dating apps super overwhelming sometimes. And just like, it gets like depressing. Like, you're so bored with your life, and then you're talking to someone and it's not that interesting. Like, I don't think it's ghosting if you're talking on an app. If you've met in person and you start dating, then I think it's ghosting. But I think my definition is slightly shifted from majority. Also, I think Beth just joined.
Yes.
She's probably on mute, but you made it, Beth.
I did make it.
Red
I
leader,
don't
this is
think
blue
my-
leader.
Perfect. I don't know if my camera is on or not.
It is
You'll have
not.
to- Right.
I'll chat you how to turn on.
All right.
Okay, this is Beth. Everyone. Beth. Beth, we've got Sharon. Just a little wave. I'm not Sharon. That's
I
Sharon.
figured.
Krista. Paul. Deji. I'm FJ. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we were just going over what we think, or how do we define what ghosting is. Did you get to see the example? Paige, did you get to share with Beth?
You did send me the synopsis text, yes.
Okay. Paul explained how with if you do get ghosted, you get to define your own reason as to why, which in a way is I guess you would say that kind of gives you some sort of closure, resolve. Is that what you?
Yeah, like you could write it whatever. It's your story. You
Okay.
know? Like, we ghosted you. They're gone. Like, who cares? Like, it's your story, however you want to end it.
Okay.
They could be labeled as a coward in your head. They could be whatever supports your flow and your story. So.
Okay. Actually, Sharon, I was asking you if you had anything to add as an expert.
I think I agree with everyone. It all makes sense. Like every time someone had their definition, I thought about like all the situations that's happened or that I've done.
Oh, she admitted. Okay, so I'm curious too. I don't think I've ever ghosted. I'm pretty sure. Like I was the ghoster. I don't think I've ever actually done that. Anyone else can
I
can
think
agree with
maybe
that?
based on your definition, FJ, I might have ghosted once or twice.
Okay.
Like if we're just messaging back and forth and having like a little bit of a conversation, I may have ghosted.
So like
Yeah,
they
your definition.
like
Mike,
they'll
you know what you do.
like that. So they ask something and you're like, I'm just not interested.
I just don't
anymore.
want to deal with it. I can't. Like, yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing too. If the individual just didn't see the message, I don't count that as ghosting. That the receiver might assume that they're being ghosted, but if the actual perpetrator or whatever didn't even like see the last message or like got deleted or their account got hacked or whatever, they lost their phone, I don't whatever, even though it's perceived that person ghosted them, I don't count that as ghosting. Obviously it's not their fault. It has to be like some ownership, like a decision specifically to, I will choose not to answer back to this person because I am no longer interested.
That goes all the time.
Okay. Yeah, but why don't you just delete them?
Huh?
Why don't you just delete
I'm
them?
not gonna close the door on an opportunity. Maybe later.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's what I thought. Like they leave you.
A free dick punch.
Okay, so if you just delete somebody, that's not considered ghosting?
Because it's clear. It's like
Okay.
it's definitive. Like I'm not interested. So.
But you can like be texting. You don't know if somebody's like,
Invested.
deleted you from their phone.
Oh, like if you've already reached texting, or like
I think
WhatsApp.
I think just the general definition of ghosting is just the complete, unforeseen stoppage of communication. Like I don't think it necessarily has to be defined by like blocking someone or like deleting someone.
Mhm.
I think it's just when there's just a random like stop in communication and there's no reason why.
Yeah, and it's out of
I like-
character. Yeah.
Yeah, I like unforeseen. Because if you break up with someone and you stop talking to them and they're like, I want to keep talking, you could guess that would happen.
That's fair. Okay, so back to Paul's explanation that he gets to define his own reason. Yeah. Would you rather the truth?
Like finding out from them?
Yeah,
Like
if they
why
just
they
told
ghosted
you
me?
why. Yeah, not even why they ghosted you, but they will just say a reason as to. Oh, hold on. So wait, when that California example, you said she deleted you and blocked you, right?
So pretty much. Well, we never even had each other on Facebook. It was just Instagram and everything. And
Okay.
her account's like locked and private, so she just removed me on the account.
Oh, she
I could
removed you as a
still
follower?
message.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I can still message,
Mhm.
but I was like, I got the message clearly, like after.
Okay. That one was a move. Like, that's like a, hey, you now can see what I've done. It's at least a little bit more definitive than change of character. She just stopped talking to you, right?
Didn't they break up first? I thought she was like, I'm
She
moving
did break up with
away.
me, yeah. She
Okay.
broke up with me.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't count that as ghosting.
It was a little, yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I guess for me it was new because like I've never really been in a breakup where it was just like all of a sudden, like, and without even like saying like I can't talk to you anymore or period or whatever. It was just like completely like we were dating one day and it was just like evaporated the next, and I was like, oh shit, like It really like hit me hard, and I was like, "What's going on?" And
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. So
Okay.
that's what pretty much happened.
Okay. Does anyone else want to first react to the sentiment of that message?
I think it very well could be the case in some scenarios that like the other individual just doesn't want to express everything that they're feeling and just okay, it's easier to just get out. But I feel like probably most often that's not the case. Yeah, I think there's a number of different reasons why people could ghost. They don't care about you. They have other, people lined up, and it's whatever. Like, you're not a priority. Like, it could be anything. But going back to what Paul said, I like that you can kind of make up your own reason why, because really it doesn't matter what the reason is. They're not talking to you anymore. It's yeah, and you get to just choose how you're going to move on from that.
Sharon, Deji, anything? Paige, Beth?
I'm more interested in like what is done after the ghosting, because like FJ, you said you'll give someone like another attempt, maybe like 2, maybe 3. Does everyone feel like that? Like if you sense you've been ghosted and it's like relatively apparent, do you reach out and be like, hey, what's up? Are you?
Is that desperate, guys?
'Cause I don't do that shit.
I don't do it.
I don't have a lot of pride, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, my problem is I never know I'm being ghosted until like 17 messages in, where it's like you realize and you're like, oh no. Like,
I'm talking
in
to
my
myself.
head, yeah, like it's so far gone that it's so embarrassing, and you're just like, okay.
But are you still getting like read receipts? Are they being
Okay,
read?
I got ghosted, like the last time I was ghosted was like 15 years ago. There were no read receipts the last time I was ghosted.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a pager.
That's
15 years, you're lucky.
That's
Too
impressive.
significant. Well, I mean, because my definition of ghosting is a little further than yours. So the 2
Right.
significant times in my life I got ghosted, like the first time nobody had cell phones. So that was and then the second time we had cell phones, but there weren't like read receipts or anything.
No.
So
We were playing Snake
I didn't
on
know
our
it.
phones.
I didn't know it existed then. No cell phones. Like, I
It
guess.
existed, but without the definition or without the title, right? Like it was
Right.
just a dick move back then.
So like as you said, you established some sort of investment in exchange of communication, and then what, you were like trying to call and he just didn't pick up? I was like, is that what happened? Like,
Do we want to get into the full story? We're staying high level right now. How embarrassing are we going right off the bat?
It's what you're comfortable with.
Okay. So the first time, this is so sad, you guys. The first time was like the first time I ever fooled around with a guy, and I knew this person. We had known each other for like at least a year.
I remember this.
Oh God. I can't be embarrassed because Beth knows them all. But we had gone on a couple dates, and this is like the first time I'd fooled around with someone. And like, I don't know, you're awkward, you're kids. So I think I was like maybe 18, 17, and 16.
15.
And so, okay, I was 15.
12.
And so, yeah. So then, like it happens. It's kind of awkward, but it's kind of exciting. And so then like went home, and a couple days later, because it was normal for us to talk on the phone, and like it wasn't a cell phone, like I was dialing his number on a landline, called him and no one picked up. So I was like, okay, whatever. So then life goes on. A couple days later, I call him and I leave a message, and it's like, guys, like my whole life is going on. Like I have school, I have other stuff. Like I'm not really thinking that hard about it. And so then like I think I left a couple more messages, and then all of a sudden was like, oh, this person's never talking to me again. And that was it. We didn't talk again. I think we ran into each other 10 years later on the subway and talked a bit.
And he probably tried to get your number.
But can I ask, before the fooling around, what did you guys have? Was it a friendship? Was it like an active friendship?
Yeah, we were definitely friends, and we had probably gone, like, we were definitely friends, and then there was this conversation at one point where he was like, I kind of like you, and I was like, I kind of like you too, and he's like, why don't we go on a couple dates? And I was like, okay. So we went on a few dates,
Okay, there was dates
and
too.
then,
Okay.
like, I would say like 3.
Like, I'm wondering, I was just trying to see if it fit the category of one night stand type of thing. But I don't know. It sounds like it doesn't.
No.
It sounds like it doesn't. Yeah.
No, we went on dates and we didn't sleep together. Like, my definition, my definitions are different than everyone else's, but my definition of one night stand is sex,
Yeah.
penetration.
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that didn't happen.
Oh yeah. Fooling around is just like pillow fighting. Right.
Just real quick, just whatever you're comfortable with sharing. When you guys were fooling around, was it like a mutual thing, or was he trying to like get like more stuff going?
Did he feel like he was trying to play?
I mean, it was just so awkward. We were like, we made out, and then there was some light fooling around, but it was like very awkward. Like, guys, I'm a very awkward person. And
Oh, it's
this
your first
like,
time. You got to give yourself a little bit of.
Yeah. So it was kind of like he finished, and then it was like, well, I'm gonna go home. So like at first I thought
he got
maybe it was
his.
awkward for him
Okay.
too, you know? Yeah.
And they're wondrous creatures.
I think ghosting can come from embarrassment too. Like maybe he was embarrassed. Like,
Yeah. It's
true.
Shit, I got off and like, right?
But
Maybe
okay, yeah, it's like this message. It's like the sentiment, like the innocent explanation of like, oops, like this wasn't my intention, but now I don't have the courage to face it and admit it. This is what this message gives off to me. Like, they're vulnerable. They're the victim. I don't like that.
So then my opinion would be the unpopular opinion, it sounds like, in this crowd.
But why? What's your opinion?
Of this message?
Well, no, of just ghosting in general. And I think I said this to you earlier today when you sent me that message, Paige. And I said, is it going to be a problem for anyone on the podcast that I completely disagree with exactly what it said?
No, because
oh yeah, I completely. I call it bullshit. I call that's a cop out. That's a cop out. That's
so. My take on it is quite literally that we live in such a disposable society of we swipe left and we swipe right, and we lose sight of the actual people behind what we're looking at on our screens. And in doing so, it's so much easier, especially at a texting stage, or particularly on a stage where you're just talking on the app and you've not moved to a texting platform, you've not met in person. Maybe there's been some pictures exchanged and you're talking about best laid plans. Maybe in some cases you're juggling 2 or 3 different people and you're making that selection. And because you haven't met and because you haven't formed a personal bond, it's still that disposable society of, okay, well, I picked this guy and not these 3, so I'm just going to ghost. And that's honestly what I believe it comes down to for a lot of people, especially people of a certain age who have grown up with Tinder and Facebook and, you know, before the MySpace and the T9 word phones and the Nokias that Paige and I had, you know, and let's go back even to pager systems because we didn't have cell phones when we were 12.
2 ways.
But yeah, that's my take. I don't feel like it's a cop-out. I just feel like it's a disposable society and we're constantly swiping. We're ordering food without really ever having been anywhere, just based on a Yelp review. So why wouldn't dating move into that light as well? And unfortunately, it takes the person out of the equation. You're seeing pictures, you're reading a profile, but really it's still that swipe left, swipe right mentality.
Okay.
That's where it starts, but it even translates after that into when you're texting and even after you've met. Because I've been ghosted after, you know, a first date or after 2 dates, or, you know, like it's a mindset, right? That translates into those interactions too.
I want to ask a question again that ties back to Paul, what you mentioned earlier. Why not just delete? When I asked, why not just delete? And you said, well, they could be potential again in the future. So
Disposable society, baby.
right. So, I mean, based on what Beth was saying, that like left swipe, right swipe, it's still kind of definitive that if you're talking to someone, but then you remove them, like you remove the match or you delete the message, and then the other person can no longer reach you now. It's also, I don't think it's just not hearing back from them, but also sorry. It's allowing them still access to you, but you're not responding, like as the ghoster, right? Like,
like, that's a very good point.
After going on dates, you have the exchange of text messages or WhatsApp, whatever you're using to communicate, or phone calls, and then one person keeps trying to reach out, but the other just doesn't respond. Being blocked at that point, in that scenario, in that example, is that ghosting still then, or has it been made clear now that they're not interested if they block you and you find out that they blocked you and they removed you from Instagram and followers and all that, all these social media platforms, all the different ways you can remove someone to make it known, like, hey, look, I'm no longer interested. Does that still count as ghosting?
I would respect that more.
I would too. Yeah, it's definitive.
That point you just brought up, that's something I didn't really even think about till just now when you said it, because like that's an element of ghosting that's like also a pretty like weird, like awkward part, because you still have access to that person and they're just not responding.
Yeah.
Like which opens up this weird space in your head, like, oh, maybe they just need some time. It's just that weird uncertainty, which is like another layer of that. Before, it's like when someone's not talking to you, before the advent of like social media and stuff, it's like, okay, well, I don't have this, I'm never going to talk to this person again. So it's like some sort of closure. But now it's like, well, you're still like popping up on my timeline and shit, but you're not texting me back. Like,
yeah,
it's just weird.
They linger like ghosts. I think that's why it's called ghosting. Guys, the aura's still around, but you can't reach them. You gotta use a Ouija board.
Also, just when Beth mentioned this earlier, like, I'm wondering if this is a natural progression of things, because like I think about the way we use like acronyms and like memes and like short form like texting and stuff like that. Like that's just because our method of communication now is just so quick and like it's so rapid, like we just need to like shorten everything down. So I wonder if because our dating life now is so much more expansive and it's like so digital and there's so much options, like even with the communication aspect of that is overwhelming. You're not supposed to be talking to 50 people like at once. Like that's crazy. So it kind of makes sense that like from that exhaustion, you don't even want to like end the conversation. You just want to leave it alone type thing, if that makes sense. Like to try to just, be empathetic to the ghoster's plight or whatever.
No, I agree. Like, you're already exhausted talking to all these different people, and like, would I want to do the extra step of having the uncomfortable conversation of saying no? Like, this is not gonna work out. Like, I'm already exhausted as it is. Like,
but why? But then why keep the potential open?
Huh?
Why keep the potential open then at that point? Like a backup plan? Like. Yeah, you're not. But is it just a matter of losing interest in that person, or there's someone else that you've already taken your focus? Like,
I mean, it could be a million different things. It could be like I'm busy at work, or I'd be losing interest, might be interested in someone else.
So timing.
Maybe embarrassment. Like I agree with the embarrassment thing. That might be a thing. Like there's a lot of things that can actually happen to contribute to it. So just timing. I mean, timing and chemistry is what leads to a relationship, right? Have all the chemistry, poor timing. You have all the time and poor chemistry.
Just don't ghost me and be on my Instagram story looking at my shit. That's just weird.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
Does that
like,
happen?
Yo, that happened to me like I don't know, earlier this year.
Do they actively like
year?
things
It might
that you
have been
post,
last year.
or do they just creep it?
No, they were just like we like hung out or whatever, and then I texted, like I followed up like the next day, just be like, hey, like what's going on? No response. So I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And then like the next day, I just like was like, hey, like, are you ghosting me? Yo, I love asking people like outright like if they're ghosting me, just so like it's no bullshit, right? And I was like, cause you're on my, I can see you looking at my Instagram story and you're still following me. So just let me know what's going on. No hard feelings, whatever. Like, still wouldn't respond. The next day, they were still on my Instagram story. I'm like, yo, are you okay? So I just unfriended them for me.
I was
Like,
hoping you'd make an Instagram story calling them out.
No, like I just removed them.
Tag them.
Like, I made them unfriend me. Because that's just weird.
I think I'm inspired to delete someone now that has ghosted me a number of times.
Number
I
of
just be asking
times?
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's because the ghost. No, because the ghost comes back. Like, the ghost comes back later.
What do you mean? Like, how long do you, like, between each conversation would you say it's considered ghosting? I mean, it's like
This
week.
guy's the ghosting expert. He needs to know all the answers.
It's not. It's more so like, again, engaged conversation, and there's an exchange, and the conversation's still going, and then nothing. And then you reach out again to follow up
How
to
long is
maybe.
nothing?
How long is the nothing?
Yeah, what's the time
Before
between
you're
these?
like, well, is it on you perceiving it as ghosting, or is it just a time thing?
So
the person's time.
okay, so yeah, there's like a threshold, right? And you like within reason of like, okay, maybe they're just busy today. Okay, maybe this past week something bad happened to them. Okay, so now it's been 3 weeks of this
Okay,
conversation
that's
that
bad,
hasn't
yeah.
been,
Okay.
and you're like, okay, well then screw that, right? So this is me, but we've already like we both follow each other. We both have messaged and established like interest. We both reached that level where there was like this mutual interest. Conversation drops instantly. Weeks by. I think I've reopened it because I'm like, I still follow this person. We've already invested like a couple weeks, a few weeks of like exchange, and then her birthday came, so I was like, I'm gonna wish her happy birthday. I sent her a message. Just want to say happy birthday. I'm sorry, I did.
Did you guys rub genitals, or are we not at that stage?
Huh?
'Cause
No,
I feel like I should know that.
We haven't even
all I
met
heard was
yet.
rub genitals.
We haven't even met in person yet. We haven't
Okay,
even had
so-
a phone conversation. It's all been text.
Yeah, I'd call that done.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So okay, well, how much am I willing to share online?
All of it.
All of it.
All of
Like
it.
that.
All of it.
Can we
there's
watch
just
it?
there's
Can we watch
there's
it?
been
You
a
never
step
know.
like I think, well, I don't know. There's I think you take the text and the exchange and what the subject matter of what you're talking about. If that's in my opinion quite private, then that's reached a certain level of trust and confidence. And then the back away, like the sudden back away. Anyways, so guys, I wish the happy birthday, which opened up the lines of communication again. She responded and said, "Thank you. How am I?" So now we're kind of like chatting again, and then maybe.
But does it get sexy? Are you chatting again? It's like, how's the weather? How's your day?
It doesn't get to the same gravity it did the first set, but it was getting back into like, so what happened there? I called her out on like, so what happened there? Like, why did you disappear? No, she explained why. She explained like it was a timing thing. Like it's like that's not ready. She wants to make sure she's ready before she continues and talks. So we're like, all right, we'll establish maybe this is just friendship then. And then
Y'all FaceTime?
she
She
refused
tell
to do that
you
too.
That's girl speak for it's not you, it's me, and I'm still gonna see
Oh.
other dudes.
Oh,
Can
that's
we
fine.
just do a podcast about that? Because I can do a
Please.
whole podcast about women speak when we're just
Please.
uncomfortable as shit and we don't want to date somebody or be around somebody even, and there's just
Oh yes.
Oh, that's
things
cool.
that we say.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know. Do we
I
want to
want
say
that.
there's a slight segue to that then, like if it's a manner, it's just a way of communicating something, but it's taking away ownership to the actual meaning. That's what ghosting is then. It's communicating something without actually directly communicating it. Isn't it? Isn't it the same thing?
No, I would say that ghosting is the absence of any communication at all.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you're disappearing. As far as a woman saying something because she's uncomfortable or because she doesn't know how to behave in a situation
Okay, yeah,
that
that's
might be moving that direction, she's going to have about 5 different phrases that are like the get out of jail free card that don't hurt anybody's feelings and that leave her feeling okay and like she's not a shit human being for tossing you out of the running, let's say. If
Right.
she's talking to 5 guys
right.
and she's given you that bullshit excuse of I'm just not ready, like not even ready to meet, because for me, I'm not going to waste my time texting. And I'll let you guys know, I met my husband on Plenty of Fish. So we went through the motions of, you know, meeting in a public place around friends, because I had shit taste in men, and Paige can attest to this. I had my friends there, 8 of them, and this man had to run the gauntlet. Like, he was asked about his job, where he wanted to be in 5 years, if he was a piece of shit like the rest of the men I had chosen. Like,
What a great first date.
right? And he came back, but
I
here's
kind
the
of like
thing.
that.
Right? And
To do
I
that.
was,
I
yeah.
like that, actually.
But I had been through the ringer with relationships in my past and just men that played the role until they were living with me and sponging off me and doing whatever they could to use me in whatever variety of ways. So with my husband, I had reached a spot in my life that I was unwilling to change or move or do something different to appease anybody. And I made that very clear. And I was like, all right, well, you can ghost if you want, or you can have the balls to tell me that this is not for you. And I get that completely. And he just went, you know what, let's see what I'm up against. And he showed up and stayed the course. And he didn't ghost. And I was very forward with him, as he was with me. When we started dating, he was also dating 2 other women. He was very upfront about it. And I actually felt comfort in that, because not only was he being honest and upfront about it, but it allowed me the time and space to decide if this is something that I actively wanted. And if I was ready to say, listen, there's an element of this now that's moving towards exclusivity, and I want that with you. And if you can't break away from these other 2 women that you're seeing, then this is not going to go any farther. So I'd say, especially in a world with online dating, honesty is so important. And not everybody's going to expect you, to be honest. Like, I could have run far and fast as soon as he said, I'm actively dating these other women. And most in my position likely would have. But I was just at the point where I appreciated the honesty. And I was like, all right, well, let's see if the connection is there. We'll meet in person. I know what I know. You know what you know. Let's see if there's chemistry there when we meet in person. But there's not a long exchange of texts, because at my age, and I'm 38 now, I got married at 35. My husband is 10 years older, and we've both been through relationships and kids, and we just didn't want to waste each other's time. So it just became, okay, let's meet in person, see if there's a chemistry beyond our texting, go from there. And I feel like if somebody is exclusively texting, especially if they're ghosting you periodically through that, then they've got other options and they're too, whatever, polite, scared, embarrassed to simply say to you, listen, this is a friendship and I'm sorry that I maybe thought that it could be something else, but I'm moving this direction with someone else. And just to have the honesty within them to give you that kind of information so that you can move on as well.
So
Nice.
I know it was a
An adult.
response.
You're such an adult, Beth.
Yo, I was about to say, like, holy. That's the
Sorry.
most adult shit I've heard. Like,
Sorry.
communication does wonders. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So guys, this was in response to like what I was describing was happening to me. And I know you're advocating honesty, which is what I think we all are advocating. Just tell me the truth. And I mean, I think maybe I gave off the sense that I was still trying to salvage something or pursue her at this point. I wasn't. I made it clear that I didn't want to chase. Like, I feel like if 2 people are interested in each other, they walk in the same direction. It's not about if someone chooses to walk in another direction and expects to be chased, I'm not gonna be that guy. So it's not. I appreciate, of course, like, yeah, you're right. Like, the honesty factor is always gonna take honesty over anything else. And that's what was missing, the fact that she wasn't being honest. And then I think that's what when you mentioned the whole girl talk, the girl speak of ways to get out of something so you don't hurt someone's feelings. I don't even think that's what that was. I don't want to go into it in more depth as to like even the setup, how and all that stuff. But yeah, the point was like I mentioned someone that I wanted to delete after talking about this again. And it's probably going to reach that point after this podcast, which I'm going to feel good about. Just because we haven't even talked in a long time. Okay.
Quick question. Who do you guys think, I guess in like, who do you think ghosts more? Men, women?
Men.
Oh, that's a good
I've only
Really?
been ghosted by men, if that counts.
You can't, I don't think you can fairly just quantify it, because it depends
I can
on...
fairly quantify it as bisexual and probably the only one in this chat room. So I
we
can
don't
tell
know
you.
that.
Yeah,
we don't know
but
that.
it also depends on like the type of woman or the type of man, like, and who you're coming across. Like, I do think it takes a certain kind of person to do it. And if
Okay, wait. So hands up, show of fingers. How many people in this chat have been ghosted, and how many times by show of fingers, if you feel comfortable?
Are you showing?
by how
probably
many times?
probably more than that.
Yeah, like by people. Oh, more than 10? Oh, our
Like-
definition.
That's like good. Yeah,
Right, but
to
the
me, I don't-
definitions,
I don't
right?
know.
Like,
Guy holding up his hand, the ghoster that deserves the dick punch. Are you holding up how many people
Oh,
you've
yeah, I'm like,
ghosted,
I mean, I've been-
or how
but
many
it's like
people
the
have
game.
ghosted you?
To me,
she asked how many have
personally,
ghosted us,
like-
right? Yeah.
oh,
Right.
yeah, I've been ghosted like, I don't know, more than times I can count. But one of
Yeah.
the things that I feel like
It's
for
a
me
numbers
personally, it's the game. Like, I don't write the rules of the game. I just play the game. Like, I don't take it personally when it comes to a lot of the dating apps. That's why, like, I'll shoot my shots. I'll miss a bunch. It's.
Okay, wait. So I have a question. So you've ghosted, which is
Uh-huh.
fine. I'm not judging.
Oh, that's
I
fine.
am.
But and that sometimes comes out of maybe like embarrassment or lack of caring.
Oh yeah, it
Do
could
you
be
find-
embarrassment. Could be anything.
Do you find
Don't
other,
say what it could be,
other times-
Paul. Say what it was.
there are other times in your life, something serious, like, do you find you've been able to have difficult, honest conversations with your partner other times that are hard, or do you find you shy away from difficult conversations?
No, I definitely don't shy away from difficult conversations
Okay.
in the sense.
So it's not like
because,
a communication thing.
like right now, I'm with my partner for like 6 months. I've been dating for like 6 months. We're actually living together now. And
snap.
Things are going great. Yeah. But like, I mean, during the dating apps thing, if you're just dating around, like, to me, it haven't really felt it was that serious of a connection, I guess. And maybe that's the reason why I was like, okay, kind of dropped off. And, like, yeah, it's the game now. Like, you collect and select. Like, I was seeing like 3 different girls, just dating them and seeing like which one would, like, had.
Let me
wanted to
touch
be
her
with.
butthole.
No, I was actually looking for something serious.
Sorry.
I was actually looking for girls to actually connect with and looking for something more serious, because I don't know if they're looking for that too.
I do.
So I'm gonna collect and I'm gonna select and see what which one's the match and which one's going with.
This
Yeah.
motherfucker grew up playing Pokemon, and he's got to catch them all.
Oh yeah, I mean
Oh.
Okay.
that's just how that's how dating has
I'm-
been now. Like,
I'm not gonna. Okay, I probably do give it off that the way I've responded, let's say, to this message that we're reacting to is like, oh, that's bullshit. So I might come off like, oh, I'm so hurt. I took things personally when I was ghosted. I don't anymore. At least maybe in the first time I've been ghosted, I might have taken that like, oh, what was wrong with me? But now I agree with you, Paul, that it's part of the culture of online dating. It's part
It
of.
actually is.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying like it's something that like should persist. I just think there's
Yeah, I'm
etiquette
not
too and just
advocating for it, it's just
consideration.
how the game is.
Oh, but you might not advocate for it, but you participate. So if, and I don't mean to like call you
Yeah.
out on it, but if you are doing it too, that's advocating for it.
Yeah, I guess.
So my problem with ghosting isn't the fact that it's normalized. It is normalized, and that's I guess what this discussion is, why has it become normalized? Right? This message again, just turning back to this letter, which is supposed to kind of like help us empathize. I think it's enabling. I think a lot of people who may have liked this post, I'm sure aren't the ones being ghosted, but are people who are ghosting. Like when you choose to look at this and you're like, wow, yeah, this is how I feel, and you like that post, it's enabling now that behavior, and I don't like that. I don't like that it's now making it okay. If this is the kind of behavior I've exhibited, it's because I feel these things, and now you understand. Now it's okay for me to behave like this, which I don't think is right, because that's not honest, and it's not being like upfront with like, it's just being considerate. You don't just, someone's talking to you, don't just turn around and walk out of the room. Like that's.
I have a suggestion. Okay, we on this call right now invent an emoji that when sent to the recipient is automatic, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not in a good place, there's no chemistry. Like, it means everything. So when you get this eggplant or whatever it is, it's like the automatic message of like, oh, this person's not interested anymore. Then you don't have to write a message. You don't have to have a conversation, it's just the breakup emoji.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Paige,
no, it's not the eggplant.
but Paige, the ghoster still has to send it, right?
Yeah. But I feel like part of, some people, it's like, okay, it's too much effort to talk to this person, or maybe I'm embarrassed. That one emoji would cover both of those.
What happens if you just deactivate? No, you wouldn't deactivate because you're still want to talk
but
to
what
other...
if you're not? And what if you're not on a dating app? What if you're texting or something?
Nobody does that, Paige. We're old.
I know.
No, well, if you're off the app, you're off. I mean, you've already gotten the number and you're exchanging like personal information. I mean, yeah, it's a lot harder to ghost in that sense, is it? Well, maybe not harder.
People do it.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah, so you go on a couple dates. You it seems like they're interested, and you're talking about the next date, and they just don't respond. They don't reply anymore.
Yeah,
they send you the breakup emoji.
And they still creep you on Instagram.
And they just what they're talking.
Why are they
that's
added
weird.
to your Instagram? Like, that's my question. Because for anybody to be added to my personal social media, I have to have met them in fucking person, or know that they exist in real life.
No, we're old.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
you're
is
private?
after meeting them in
Make sure that
person.
you're not being
Oh,
catfished.
okay. So we're not talking just in like the messaging back and forth on the apps.
Yeah, they've had dates. Yeah, and personal phone numbers. Okay. Does anyone?
There's been some genital rubbing, likely, is what we're saying.
Can anyone else share maybe to help maybe advocate the message? I know a friend was here. I think he was for it, but anyone else who has ghosted, who might give, some insight as to why it could be good.
I think the only, probably for me, the only time I would like ghost someone is if like the conversation is just like stupid. Like if like I'm trying to talk to this person and they're just like responding with like one word answers or something, like,
well then yeah,
like dragging it on. I don't know, like, how some people just like want to just keep you around but not really like engage with you or like talk to you or like form like a deeper, I don't know. Like I think I can like detect that stuff. I don't even bother trying to figure out, hey, like, are you engaged? Like, what's happening? I just stop responding.
Right. So like, okay, guys, take this example. If you're at a club or a bar or wherever it is that you approach someone to pick them up, and you approach and you shoot your shot, and they don't want to be rude, but you could tell by the way they're talking to you, they're not interested, right? They're not being like right up front, hey, I'm not interested. But you ask them maybe some long question, or you're hoping for a long answer, and it's a one-word response. And maybe you shoot maybe two more shots after that, and it's clear, okay, this person doesn't want to get further invested with communication. You take that as kind of like a rejection, but it's not ghosting. Like they've still taken the time to at least acknowledge that you exist because you asked a question and they answered. Now you just take.
But they don't have to acknowledge you exist. If you're walking up to someone in a public place
Exactly.
and they don't respond, I wouldn't even call that ghosting. That is.
It's not. No. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not. That's what I'm just saying. Like, that's just decency, right? But even if you now establish maybe there was interest in the beginning, maybe you went out on a date, but then eventually you're just not feeling it after that first date. So then your conversations go from like nice exchanges to short one-word answers. Don't you start to think, okay, maybe this person's not that interested anymore? Like, isn't that normal? Like, you just read the other person's not body language, but you know what I mean, message language.
I think at that point you could like ask the question. I was more so like referring to like before it gets there, you know, like when you're still trying to establish some sort of like a conversation. But if you've been talking and the conversation has been okay, and then it's just gradually declined, then I think you should be like, hey, like, are you still feeling this? Like, what's going on? Like, do you want to?
Do you feel you have to ask that question?
I think that's fair in that scenario.
Okay.
Because like there's been an established, rapport between you two or a connection or whatever.
Okay.
I just think at the beginning phases when you just start talking and they're giving you that kind of vibe, like I don't even waste my time, bro.
Right. Exactly. You don't have to ask it because it's kind of clear. So rather than I've been in situations too where you match and we're like, you get off the app, you go on WhatsApp, maybe even a FaceTime or a voice call, but I'm not feeling it now. Like something happened, something within that first bio that maybe those pictures were really rocking, and then you see them in a FaceTime and you're like, oh, that's what you really look like. And I don't know, something like that. And then you're just not feeling it as much. So you start to pull away interest, but you don't want to be rude. So when they ask a question, I answer the question, but I don't ask anymore. You know what I mean? Like I stop asking. I don't want to continue the conversation, but I won't be rude and not answer theirs. But then that's the language like you give off. It's not rude, but you start to give it becomes obvious. Hey, this person's not that interested anymore.
Just rather waste their time.
That's not wasting their time though. Explain. Okay, is it a joke or do you? Is it a joke?
Just a dry conversation.
Is it a joke? So what should I say? I should just cut it right from when I start to lose interest and be like, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm interested in you anymore, and we should stop talking. Is that what should happen?
Wait until they say something more interesting that you want to talk about.
Okay, but it's
I would
not about
hang on that thread. I would just cut it. I'd be like, you know what? Let's not waste each other's time.
Okay.
Yeah, and like
that's a method.
You do it amicably. Like,
that's okay. So guys,
just do it with peace, like whatever. All right.
Sure, right. You know what? I appreciate who you are, but I think maybe I'm looking for something else. You'd rather be ghosted than that, right? Oh wait.
One word answers.
So we're at a spectrum now. Direct rejection versus faded interest or ghosting. You'd rather be ghosted.
Yeah,
that's the spectrum.
I'd rather know. Like I think it's easier for me to know that.
I'd rather direct rejection too. Yeah.
Direct rejection for sure would be the number one option, but at least compared to like the
middle one,
out, man, just ghost me rather than slow fade me out.
There is no slow fade out. It's like it happens in the same night.
But these one-word answers that you probably like with this conversation, it's like
sounds like there's pain behind this answer.
Oh God. It's the answer of K, just the letter. It's not the word. Okay, which is just one more
that's
letter.
A good one.
K.
Yeah, when you
I told you guys about the thumbs up, right?
So
I got a thumbs up to an essay that I typed once, or two thumbs up. And I was like, oh my God.
But that's
Maybe
like
that's the
a
breakup emoji.
that's an instigator though. I feel like
First
that's
of
not
all,
even
Paige, I
that's
feel
not-
like you of all people should know that the breakup emoji is always the emoji of the hand doing the measurement thing with the fingers. That's the breakup emoji.
the measurement thing.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
there an emoji?
Yeah.
There's
There
an
is.
emoji for that.
Yeah, there is.
I'm looking it up. Right
Ah,
I'm looking it
I mean,
up too.
I'm a Samsung user. I'm assuming you guys have it, but I've had it for months and I use it frequently.
At work, if a guy sends it to a girl,
I
the
mean, I
girl's like,
guess.
what the fuck's that mean?
Yeah, well, no, it's just the one I use.
The opening.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's a tiny opening. Holy shit.
Right?
I still don't see it. Wait, where was it sent? I still don't see
Here, I
it.
gotta find it. Can anybody actually see me? I feel like nobody can. I can
Yeah,
see
is Beth's
me.
camera working for anyone else?
Yeah, I see her. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
god
it's just
damn
me who
it.
can't see you.
I've been naked this whole time. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I can't see her.
Oh,
It
you
just
can't
shows
see
it's
her?
Loading.
Oh,
It's
Oh.
fine.
It's
She's
loading.
seen me every day for 25 years.
You're on the stream.
yeah, we've seen.
She's on the Twitch stream.
Okay. Okay. I'm just trying
Trying to
to
find the emoji now.
gather that.
Yeah, I think the. I
So
think
now
the,
I'm trying to reconsider that whole like wean off too. I guess yeah, the honorable thing is to just reject, I guess.
So my question is that, like, to just reject, like, I don't know, like, 'cause what if they do something that and say something that is of interest later, you know? Like,
Yeah, but what if you're just not attracted to them anymore? What are you gonna do?
And are you
Even
going
if-
to wait for them to have a redeeming quality? Like, are you going to hang on to that and be like, well, I got a pretty face. Let's find out if there's any brains in there.
Like I don't know if
someone's like, you know, because you could fall in love or like people's like humor. You could fall in love and like people's like
Does that
reaction to
ever
things. If
happen
they send
for
me
you?
something funny and something engaging, or they're passionate about something later, like maybe that'll spark some interest. I don't know.
maybe. I guess if I was attracted and then it was like a change of like a definitive I am no longer attracted, then it's like well, I don't think I will gain attraction again later.
Really?
That's like people that take their exes back.
Oh yeah.
Paige, you
Yeah, but
shut
if
your
you take-
dirty
How
mouth.
many people do
If
that?
you take your exes back, at least there was passion there at one time. But if you're
Definitely
like
not.
texting
True.
someone and it's like, I'm not interested, but maybe she'll send me a funny meme and I might become sexually attracted to her. Like, does that ever happen?
I feel like it happens more where it's like,
A certain
hey, you
selfie.
up. And you remember that you're like, they were decent in bed at throwing it down. I'm up. Like, I feel like that happens more than like, oh, they're going to have this redeeming social quality. It's like, no, the dick was decent. So you know what?
Oh, like
I'm in a
bored.
dry spell.
Yeah, that's possible.
That happens.
Okay. But is that consideration isn't for something more than the physical, maybe another one nighter or whatever, right?
Correct.
Like okay. Okay. Yeah.
I'm super
Shit's done.
opinionated.
I mean, it
I
still comes
had a-
back to timing. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, it still comes back to timing. Like, I'm not interested now, maybe because of other factors or reasons going on in my life, and then
That's
maybe
true.
later, like, it would be, you know, rather than a slow fade out or whatever. And, oh shit, you kind of fell off my mind, and now you're like messaging me again. Oh, you're kind of back on my mind. You know, like, that happens.
So
More accurately, my girlfriend and I are fighting. You up? Because
So-
this bitch be
I
crazy.
feel like that's
hurt you,
different. I
girl?
feel like
Sorry.
that's different. Yeah.
question again for Paul. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. You said you'd rather ghost than the fade out, right? So
Yeah.
sorry, would you rather ghost than the direct rejection?
No, definitely direct rejection is always the best way, but
Okay, so if for those
I don't
times,
assume that people are gonna like. I mean, it's something I may want, but it's not something I'm gonna hold everyone to.
so if it's a timing issue, could you not say, you know what, this was fun, but right now it's just not the best time for me? So that's not ghosting them, but it is a direct, like, You can keep them there for later because you just said timing, but you didn't have to just stop responding to them when they were asking you things, right?
Mhm.
Is that what happened? Like, were they still message you because you felt like they still wanted something, and then you were like, I'm not willing to give more now?
A lot of time it's also like, you know, when they ask you like, oh, so when will be a good time, or when they start pushing even more, it's like, yo, listen,
Oh,
like I
that's some
need this
needy
time to
questions,
myself,
man.
or if it's like,
But when?
or if it's like, you know, even if you respond something like that, they're already thinking like, oh, this person's zero, not interested, period, nada, you know, and so it's like,
Mm.
really.
So it is about potential, backup plan.
I don't know, like I've been honest with people and said like, you know, this happened and I'm pursuing this one person right now and we can't continue to like talk like this anymore. And then later on, things change and we've chatted again. So I think you can still be direct and like the potential is still there if it's actually there that you can pick that up again.
Yeah.
So I have a question just for the females, and Paige, I already kind of know your take. But do you feel like, whether it's because of gender normatives or whatever it is, we are bound by an obligation to be more polite or to be more accepting or to be more hospitable in terms of when we are ending something, or just basically being honest and saying there's no interest here from my side, sorry, but I don't feel a connection that way. I do like that we have similar interests, we could definitely be friends. Like, do you feel compelled as a female to be more polite and more direct and I guess more honest with the people that you're engaging with as opposed to the men? Because I do feel like, not that ghosting is just a male trait by any means. I know tons of women that do it and are proud of doing it. But I seem to see more of a trend as far as men just kind of ghosting and then that just being the case. And then months later, they'll message, as you said, I think it was Paul, saying that, you know, I just keep them as a backup. Like, I don't feel that as most women, we feel compelled to be polite in our, even just to say like a polite no thank you. Like when I was on dating apps, regardless of what I got, I responded and I felt compelled to do so. I just don't know if that's the same when it comes to men.
I think for me, it's partly that, and it's partly like, I just don't want to deal with the irritation. Like, stop messaging me. So I'm going to tell you why, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you explain it? You
Yeah.
like cut ties? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what I always felt compelled to do. Like I always was like, sorry, but like if you read my profile, you'll see that actually we aren't a match, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm glad that you liked this picture, but, and then I would go into my spiel and explain why we were not compatible. Whereas I don't find that a lot of men do that.
I feel like I used to do that, and now I just can't because the volume, it's too much. Like, I cannot respond to every person that shows interest. I just can't. So if it's like an initial message and I'm not interested, I may not respond.
Also, guys, the hey message,
Oh,
hey. It's just hey, or it's hey girl. I'm like, you're going to have to come at me with something stronger than that. Like
80% of first messages are hey.
It's true. Like I ended up, by the time my husband found me on Plenty of Fish, actually I found him, if we're being honest, and we have this argument constantly. But by the time that happened, I had actually embedded like a word in my super lengthy bitchy profile that was like, if you do not use this word as the headline of your message to me, I will not respond. Simple as that. Because I wanted to make clear that if you were not going to be committed to actually reading what I took the time to write in my profile in order to weed out what I was not looking for, then I didn't want any part of it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get one that's too long, and you're like, "Whoa, buddy"?
I think the funniest one I ever got was a guy that like went on for like 2 pages length of like what our
Oh my
first
God.
date should be and like where he was gonna go and why and like all of that.
he's
And
a
I was like,
romantic.
this is some Dexter territory. Like, I'm not gonna meet you anywhere. You're fucking weird. Like the detail that he went into, I was like,
But what if he was like really good looking though?
nope. No. Listen, the difference between Christian Grey and Criminal Minds is money, and I don't give a fuck. Like that's not what makes somebody
fair.
decent or not. So
Fair. I mean, I've mentioned this before too, like the numbers game for women and men are different on the apps generally. I'm not gonna say for all men but I'd say the majority of men have to swipe more in hopes to find ones they like, whereas women, they have a bunch of likes to go through and choose which ones to match with, right? You've already passed that first pick stage. You likely have a list and queue of likes ready to go. So it's a matter of like who's gonna be, for women, you have your inbox of all these intro messages, and it's which one stands out to you. Hey, probably not going to stand out to you. A really nice profile picture might, but maybe something that's a little bit longer in their first intro you appreciate more. Us guys, trying to personalize 100 messages a day, let's say, if we're trying to right swipe intro, you know, well, my first right swipe on okcupid, it was like my first app. She wrote a lot, so I'm like, this woman appreciates content and substance. So I remember I remember basically everything she wrote, I had like a response to. I never heard from her. So it's like, well, damn, that was a waste of my time. Or was it a waste of my time? Or maybe she never even saw it. Who knows? But it became that. It's like, okay, I got to balance this out. I need to like expand my reach, not be as lazy as hey. Lately, because of Paige, from our last podcast about the dating scene, I've been using "What's your favorite ice cream flavor?" more.
And how's it working?
It's
I'm
not.
so excited.
Oh, Sunrise Sunset. I used that for a bit, dude. I used that for a bit, and it wasn't working for me either. So I do think maybe it's I don't know. It could be a demographic age thing. Who knows?
how do you like your eggs? That's always the go-to for me.
Oh,
The
shit.
answer, by the way, is always unfertilized.
But what if they're vegan?
What if
Nice,
they're vegan?
nice. Always though. I mean, if they're later in their biological clock, they might want that. They might be looking.
Because
for
it
that.
says the woman who has 7 kids. Like, get the
First
fuck
of
out.
all,
Septum.
only 2 of them lived in my body, so
Yeah, that's true.
let's be generous. And one of those people is now 6'5", so we're not
damn.
gonna talk about it.
Yeah, he's a giant.
Basketball player. Nice.
Everybody says that, and he's like, "I really just want to play football, guys. Can you all please
that's okay.
stop?"
That's okay. He could be a wide receiver.
It's true. I told him that. I was like, "Just never play hockey."
So wait, I want to know. Ice cream line didn't work.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what opening line works the most?
So, okay, I will say, when I started apps, which was like 7 years ago, so I do think my age does play a role.
How
But
old are you? Just
Hey,
for my
no,
reference.
hey, how are you doing? Was the most successful for me.
What?
Hey, whatever their name is, how are you doing? That, and it's simply, I think, because from my one female friend who did tell me, it doesn't matter what you write. If they think you're attractive, they will respond, and I think that's true.
Bullshit.
I do think.
I mean,
Like,
it depends on the
Hinge, right?
person. I
Hinge has all
guess.
the prompts. It's so easy to like comment and reply on them.
Oh, the prompts. Well, yeah, like Hinge forces you to. You can't even just like. You have to say something. I'm like, fine. Let me put in some effort. Fine.
Sends the Joey gif. How you doing?
So, yeah. Hey, how are you doing? Numbers wise, it's because first you could send it, I guess, a lot easier. You can copy paste, and yeah, I guess the feedback was at least more noticeable. Granted, I'm less active now with the swiping these days. I'd rather see if anyone will swipe on me first, and then I'll respond. So, oh, so who's still okay? Like half of us are still actively like kind of in the game, maybe less.
Single.
Single.
Just me. Okay. I was like,
Single.
cool. Okay.
All right, we got some. All right. All right, guys, tips. What's up?
Huh?
So, okay, well, just to, I guess, stem it back to the original topic. Do you
Talk about
guys
something
think?
in the picture.
Do you get in the picture?
In the
Oh yeah, I do. I definitely want to make it
Something super
personalized where
specific.
you can refer to something that they've done.
Is that kid yours?
Is that your niece?
An important question.
It really is, especially for guy profiles that have them between like 4 dudes and holding a baby. I'm like, fuck is happening in this picture? Number 1, whose baby is that? It's not yours. I can tell just by the way it's looking at you. Number 2, which dude are you? Probably the ugly dude. And that's why you're putting up a group photo.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy knows.
All these
knows.
rules. Yeah, you gotta at least. No, Paul's profile. It's
He does
3
have
stars.
fun with it,
Like
man.
that's 3
I mean,
stars
to
for
me, I
Paul.
just, like, seriously, like dating apps. Like, I wasn't like, this is how I'm going to, meet the one or whatever. I just kind of just did it just to like, yeah. I mean, it was the pandemic. I had nothing else to do. One, I'm not really socializing. I was like, all right, let me see what's out there.
Hmm.
Go, just talk, exercise some social skills and whatever. And I think it was more freeing just to kind of like, if I wanted to try a cheesy pickup line, if I want to try this, and like some will land, some of them won't, and it was like I never took it like to heart, like rejection from any of the dating apps or anything like that. I was
That's
like,
good.
Yeah, I
it's not
think
dating apps.
I don't think people necessarily need to have a thicker skin, but just more like just brush things off a little bit
Yeah,
easier, you know?
It's not. I don't think it's personal. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it might feel personal because you invest in your profile, you invest in all that stuff, but I wouldn't say that it's like personal when someone's not as interested or whatever.
I'm thinking back to a comment you made. Who is it? Oh, she left.
I don't know if her.
I think she got
connection dropped.
discoed. Yeah, I think she got disconnected. Hopefully,
So
she'll be
what was
back.
her name again?
Beth.
Beth said something about. Let me ask the ladies in the room. Do you feel like it's more? What did she ask you guys?
Oh,
Do you
if it's
feel
a
like
gender
you-
thing, if they're more
Like that word.
they're more inclined to be polite, right?
I think like, cause man, you hear stories all the time of like a guy asking for a girl's number and her saying no, and then her getting killed. Like you hear crazy shit like that all the time. So I think that is also an element in like them like not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings when rejecting them or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's that
Yeah.
added element of like
Danger.
You could die.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a safety issue for sure.
Yeah. Imagine. Yeah, I guess they can't ghost as much because of that. You get some psycho guy on the other side be like, "How dare you ghost me?" And like,
bruh. That's
right.
a
I
real
think-
thing.
Like for me growing up, and it wasn't just like guys who told me this, like my parents told me this, like be nicer. Like I was constantly told like I wasn't polite enough and be nice and why are you being so rude all the time. So I think definitely there is like a weird thing where I do feel obliged to answer. I don't know how much it plays into that, but
I was so different. I don't think I never thought about things like that. I just, like, when I didn't know better, obviously, I just thought, like, it's so much easier to just ghost because I didn't really care about the other person's feelings. But then
Damn.
experience,
Cold ice.
same thing.
I mean, that's fair. I'm not.
Then that's when I was like, oh, this is how it feels like. Like, I didn't think so deep about it until
It
that
happened to
happened to
you.
me.
Oh, how the
Yeah.
turntables.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, this is why you have to explain.
A
So it's
DJ
fine, or
joke?
like talk
Jesus.
about it. Yeah.
I feel like that's better. Like just not knowing and doing it out of ignorance is still better than like childhood trauma that forces you to respond.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony
True.
from chat asks, is it considered ghosting if you haven't even gone on a date or hooked up?
Yes. And it's considered ghosting.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ghosting.
No, that's when it's ghosting.
I guess it depends, right? How long are you chatting? How intimate are the chats? Like,
Yeah. Again, as long as
Oh,
the
yeah.
This guy's laughing
the
because we
Watch
ghosting
Squid Game?
plants emojis.
it's good Netflix chill. Yeah, we were saying earlier, Tony, if you just tuned in, that it has to be sort of like a unexpected change of behavior. All of a sudden, they just disappear. Doesn't matter if you've gone on a date or not or hooked up, as long as all of a sudden you've established interest, and all of a sudden they go away.
So it would be super wrong of me to just ghost this chat and go to bed because I'm old, right?
how funny would it have been she just didn't come back?
Right?
Uh-huh.
Well, if somebody asked her a question and then she chose to leave, and that would have been ghosting. Otherwise she just got disconnected.
I did come back, but my drink is empty and my husband is awaiting, so I am gonna go get laid. Good night, guys.
Thank you for joining us, Beth. It was
Great.
great to
Nice
have you.
meet you all. Bye.
Have a great night. But yeah,
Sorry, I just saw something terrible.
you saw something terrible.
No, I just thought of something terrible.
Obviously.
Is it shareable? Is it TOS?
So we wanna
Is it
know.
okay?
We love terrible men.
It was just this Dave Chappelle joke. Sorry, it's not appropriate. He
Okay.
was just okay, fine, I'll stand. He was just like, well, everyone knows there's no such thing as good 36-year-old.
I do remember that punchline.
Is that an actual joke? That's hilarious.
Okay, so
he was
the
telling
premise
a
of the joke-
story. Yeah, he was.
I'll just tell it real quick. The premise of the joke is like R. Kelly, right? During his like deposition or whatever, there was literally like a sex tape playing by the prosecution in which R. Kelly, like I think they said he mentioned like 18 times like the girl's age, and he would say wild shit like, "Oh man, it's the best like 14-year-old pussy I've ever had," and shit like that, right? And so Dave Chappelle was like, if I was his attorney, I'd be like, God damn, like you're supposed to say this is the best 36-year-old pussy I've ever had. But then Dave Chappelle's like, yeah, they knew they would be lying because obviously
There's
everyone
no
knows
such
there's
thing.
no such thing as good 36. Anyway,
Oh no, we got. We're gonna get a strike for that one.
oh, whoops.
sorry.
Cancelled.
All right. So, if I was to give, or if you guys were to give any kind of like recommendations for anyone who's considering ghosting, like doing the act, what would you say for them to reconsider? Like, what is it? What is it about
Wait.
that act that we just take so much now? It's like, don't do it. Well, not all of us think this. Yeah.
This is as the ghoster.
So, like, I'm chatting with this girl, and all of a sudden, I'm just not feeling this girl anymore. And I'm like, guys, I just don't want to answer anymore. She keeps messaging me. I think I just want to ghost her. What are you gonna tell me to keep me from doing that? What's up,
You can't
Tropic?
be mad
Hey,
if people
Tropic,
ghost
what's
you.
up?
That's it. You can't be mad if people ghost you. Don't dish
Right.
it out. You can't take it.
Cool.
My thing is, I would just preface everything with like all the hey, didn't mean to hurt your feelings, just kind of just like sorry, blah 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 blah. But this just isn't going anywhere. Like you just want to
No,
like. I think
FJ is he's saying convince him not to ghost someone.
You can't convince someone to do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah, I would
Wait, so-
argue let people ghost if they want to ghost.
Oh, you're trying to convince the ghoster not to ghost someone.
So we want to say that ghosting culture right now, it's the norm. It doesn't need to change. Is that what the message is? Is that what we're gonna?
I think if people want to do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
like
all
voting.
different reasons why people do it. You know, like you're never gonna make everyone in the world a super nice person or get everyone's opinion on the same page. Like I would say, rather than tell people not to ghost, tell people like me who doesn't clue in very quickly. You know, just like, hey, this happens. Don't take it personally. You're probably going through something. You know, move on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think ghosting is just going to be, it's a natural course of events, honestly. I think even if it wasn't a bad thing right now, like because we assume it's mostly done out of whatever reason. Oh, I don't want to talk to this person. I lost interest. I'm scared, blah, 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 blah. At some point, it's not even going to be about that. It's just going to be, yo, there's too many people to talk to. You know? So it's like because I think of like my like inbox or something on like Instagram or like I relate it to that. Like there's all these fucking conversations in there, but like you're really talking to like the top 3 people. And then you have all these like other staggered half finished conversations at the bottom. So it's like that's a part of it. Just the sheer volume of people you're communicating with. You know?
Yeah, it's part of that
I guess
game.
it's like it kind of comes down to like if I didn't find this person a priority, I also kind of felt like they didn't find me a priority. Like I don't think they were going to be that hurt by it. Of course, like that's just my lack of empathy, and you know I really need to work on empathy. But you know that's something that you know consider.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense too, though. What you said, if you've been ghosted enough times and you've bounced off and you're fine and you don't take any kind of hurt, I guess that does welcome that behavior now more in your behavior, right? I guess you would. Yeah. That makes sense. If I don't say I don't think I get sour. I still have a bunch of these chats open where I was the last message, you know, and
no.
and I do have I okay. Oh, well, I did once. I will feel bad about this. I'll just share this because why not be honest? So I'm chatting. We matched, so we're chatting, and I don't know if I'm extremely invested in anything, but then we're like, oh hey, are you on Instagram? Yeah, I have Instagram. And then once I saw her Instagram, I chose not to message her anymore. Okay, so the last message was just her Instagram handle because she was giving it to me.
Wait,
and then,
what about her Instagram?
I guess I guess like you see the profile photos, but then when you see more photos of them and you realize, okay, maybe I'm not attractive. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know what else to say, and I'm not gonna be the one to like. What am I gonna say? Am I gonna be okay? So here's the spectrum, right? Ghosting, fade away,
or do you want to just leave it blank?
Okay, but is that ghosting?
Oh man, that's the worst kind, bro.
It was no question. It was no question. It was no like. It was just. I got to see. I don't think so. I don't think so, man. Like. Is it though?
That's because, the worst, bro.
Because what did she?
Okay, let's change it. Let's change it to your example. It's in person, right? This woman walks up to you. You're having a conversation, and you go, "Hey, let me see another photo of you." And she pulls it out, and you look her in the eyes, and then leave the room.
Well, is she still invested though? Like I guess like.
You don't need to tear down her confidence. I get you. I wouldn't message you there. I'm just like, I don't want to tear down your confidence.
Am I gonna be like, hey, I saw your Instagram. This was fun. Like, what do I say? What do I say?
You know what that's like? Like that's like that level of awkwardness is like when you're in the car with someone and then like they fart and you don't know whether you should leave the window up or lower it. And you're just like,
Kyle said you should definitely not feel bad when you get ghosted then. So Kyle, I don't feel bad when I'm ghosted. Like I think I've also developed that deflection thing. But I still think it's not good behavior. Like, I just think it's inconsiderate. Like, if you are in the middle of a conversation and, like I just said, I admitted it too, and I feel bad about it, but I didn't know what else to say. I just did not know what to say in that scenario. I gave that a specific example, and I'll own to it. I don't commend myself for what I did there, but I'm just saying, like, if you are though engaged in a conversation and you cut it unexpectedly, that behavior, I think, I'm not hurt by it personally, but I just don't think anyone should have to endure that. I don't think anybody should have to face that experience. I'd rather people just be decent. To be like, just be decent.
If you were to go back in time, would you tell her?
Oh, you know what? I should just delete her. Oh, well, how about that? What if she
Message her on Instagram.
Hold on. So we match in a thing. She gives me her Instagram. If I deleted her at that point, is that even better than just not saying anything? I guess it is, right? Should I have just deleted her? Unmatched?
I think it's the same
I mean,
thing.
the mature response is you should have said, you know,
Like you're more.
just not interested. I'm not in that
Yeah,
place.
no.
You know, like,
True. I'm gonna be having. I have to delete a bunch of people today, guys.
You mad fucking. I'm not fucking with you no more. Oh shit. Terms of service. Sorry.
It wasn't even that.
Man.
But
Yo, ghosting someone after they give you their Instagram profile is hilarious, bro. Like, I don't think you realize how hilarious that is. Like, just think of like how she must like. It's like, man, I was willing to talk to you until I saw your face.
well, that's part of the app. It's part of the. It's part of the.
personal.
It's part of the app though. Like, if you're going to show images of yourself, oh, it's just like, you know, weren't we talking about this, Paul? Like the certain angles and like the certain way you crop, and then the filters, and then all this stuff. If you're gonna try and portray yourself, you try to portray yourself in your best form, but then in reality doesn't meet that, and then you I don't know. Well, how much do you really expect from that then? Like,
But
if
I
you
think
weren't
that,
upfront
I mean,
about
that's
that.
a bigger conversation on, you know, unrealistic beauty standards that we hold people to nowadays.
Unrealistic
like,
beauty standards.
Yeah, because like you think everyone's gonna put on all the makeup or look all their best or exercise 24/7, the trainer and everything. Like, even when they show me those pictures and everything, like I know that's not like how they look every day. You know, like I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how my Instagram is, that's not how I look every day. Like, obviously not.
It isn't?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, these are pictures that you consciously take a choice of, like, this is how I want to present myself, right? That's social media.
That's
So
true.
like, yeah, but I think, yeah. So I don't feel betrayed when someone's like actual look looks different from how they present on social media, because I just think that it's like, yeah, that's just kind of society's trying to unrealistic beauty standards that everyone's trying to be held up to and everything, you know. I mean, catfishing is does happen. Like we had the conversation where I've been catfished. But yeah, like, am I
Oh yeah,
gonna,
catfish.
like completely like feel, you know, if the change is not that drastic, or I mean, if it could be drastic, but like I know it's just not who they are like in person. So
Mm.
yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. So, we're not necessarily trying to tell people not to ghost.
I think it's unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not
And you don't know why people are doing it, right?
Is there-
Yeah,
is
there's
there
so
a
many
situation-
reasons.
Sorry.
I don't know if there's so many reasons, honestly. Because let's say it was this. Everything that letter said, it was actually that. You could say those things, and it's okay. I think more so it's I don't think I'm into you right now, or I'm not into you, but I want to keep you there just in case. That's something that someone's not willing to say. Everything in this letter, you can say. Like, there's nothing really,
God, if
timing.
someone
I'm
said
not.
that, they would come off as a psycho.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, but wasn't this the point of this post, to be like vulnerability and like I'm not ready. If you're not ready, then why are you on the apps? Like, because if you're not ready, then why did you participate? Like, if you weren't actually feeling these things and you're thinking that you don't want to hurt, you'd already walked that line where you got yourself invested. If any of that in the message was true, you wouldn't have gotten there in the first place. That's what
It
I'm
doesn't
taking
have to
that
be all
as.
or nothing all the time.
But it can be in our relationships too. It's not just online. Like it was hard for me to like talk about any of these because I've never really been on online dating before. But like it happens in relationships, and I've even like heard of incident with like even in marriage too. Like it happens. So
Like, yeah, touching on that point, as a psychiatrist, like, especially like how I've dealt with patients and dealt with like, relationships and everything. A lot of people have this set of standards of rules and etiquette, right? Like, you should not cheat, you should do this, you should do that. But really, who enforces said rules? Because like, is there some magical force field that's preventing someone from actually cheating? Is there someone that's actually going to? It's it's really, of course, you just want to make that connection. You just have to have that trust that no one's going to betray that said trust. But like, yeah, when you set yourself up with all these like, why are they on the dating apps when they're not even interested? Like that's like, why does it have to be 0 or 100? It really,
Yeah.
People are allowed to be as in or as out as they want to be, really. So, every day you make this decision. I want to be with my partner, and I don't want, or choose not to, or I want to see how this goes. Like it's really, you just have to learn that there's no magical force field that's doing this. Like there's no one's like saying these set rules of how etiquette and dating and everything should be. Like you set yourself up for like a lot of disappointment and anxiety.
Right, because that's like
anxiety.
that's a standard of like etiquette. But I mean, golden rule though: do unto others what you would have them do unto you. I'm not a fan.
But people are selfish as fuck.
Exactly.
Sorry,
it's
swore, but,
this.
yeah.
Oh, it's fine. We've gone way by that.
I didn't know if that would like flag anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's golden rule and it's like ideal. It's never really followed. People will always, not people will always, but it's more often than not they want to take the easy road out, the less accountable road out.
yeah.
Does anyone know who Neil Strauss is?
I don't know. He's a writer apparently. New York Times.
Let's check this guy out. Let's check this guy out. 280K followers.
So he wrote this book.
The game.
Game.
Penetrating the secret society of pickup artists. No wonder.
So this guy, like, I guess back in like early 2000s, whatever, he was like this like huge writer, because he'd gotten all these like interesting interviews with celebrities, and he'd also like become part of this crazy underground wave of like pickup artists that were like all over Hollywood and stuff, right? So yeah, he was just like this notorious guru that was giving out game on the internet and stuff like that. So my boy, he gave me this book after like my last like major breakup, because I didn't know, like, you hear about pickup artists, but I didn't really know like what it was about. And like this book just basically goes into how Neil was this nerdy fucking random writer, and then he like moved to Hollywood and he met this guy who ran this like pickup like club in this mansion, and then he just learned all this game from him. And like, yeah, man, he's like, so in this book he talks about like all his encounters with women and all the things he learned, and then like how like, because he was like a normal, like relatively normal heterosexual male or whatever, that like was awkward with women, and then he talks about how his mentality like got warped, and like how he started to like see women as kind of like like a game almost, like if you do this and this and this, they'll sleep with you. He literally broke it down to like
A science,
right? So, and then he put out another book after this that was like, I think it was like something the recovering pickup artist or whatever, because he's like married now and he like changed his ways or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting that
he grew up.
he kind of wrote that.
So you read that book. What do you
Yeah.
think?
About the ghosting thing?
No, that book, the The one you
I mean,
just showed, has it helped? Has it made a difference? Has it given you any
it was
insight?
it was
Oh shit,
it
Ren's
was
here.
it was definitely very eye-opening in terms of like why a lot of guys act the way they do, in terms of the methods they use to like talk to girls. Because it broke down like I know we talked about like the neg before, but it kind of broke down like why like
Ah, the neg.
because like growing up, I would generally hear guys be like, "Yo, like you can't like compliment a girl or whatever. You gotta like, you know, like bring her down to your level or whatever." And I didn't really get that. And then this book talks about like why that happens, you know. So it just kind of gave like scientific, I guess, explanations for shit. It was interesting.
Okay. Okay, so I went on that one side of like, we've kind of come to the conclusion that we can't possibly expect people to not ghost if they're already considering to do it. So for those who don't, for those people who choose not to ghost and maybe they do the feeding away thing, or they do, I don't know how many people actually straight up just say, I'm not interested anymore. I really don't know, because you've already walked that walk a little bit, and all of a sudden you're just gonna be like, all right, I'm not interested anymore. I just don't see that happening very often. But for those who don't ghost, like, what would you recommend? Like, I know you're gonna say, you know, just reject them, but like, I don't know. It's like,
Like,
are we just gonna promote just ghost, man? It's
funny
the
'cause
easiest.
It's like having that kind of conversation. But having that kind of conversation is so funny because it's like people are so scared of commitment, right? But with that kind of conversation, you're committing to the rejection. You're committing to cutting this off.
Yeah.
So it's like you're asking already like this other side of commitment, which is kind of funny to me. Like it's just hilarious.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
Afraid of
this is not
commitment,
going
now
anywhere.
afraid of not even reject. You did the one doing a rejection.
yeah, I'm burning this bridge.
Yeah.
Cutting it off.
You're
Yeah.
committing.
I've gotten those texts after dates. Like typically it's after the first date, but I've gotten it after more than one date where it's just like, hey, like you're really cool, but I don't really see this going anywhere else, but I wish you the best. And it's not a conversation, it's like a one-off text that I respond to, and I guess then I make a conversation, but it could be just a one-off text. And I think those are awesome. Like the people who take the time to do that, I'm still friends with all of them actually. But if you don't want a friendship after either, then it's like, then why would you take the time to send that message?
True. I feel like it's tough when they don't accept the rejection. Like, and that happens too.
Like try harder.
They're like, well, what can I do? Like, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
What how can I can change?
Yeah.
This is why I ghost you.
So you don't have to change. It's because I accept you for who you are. I just don't want you in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about.
Yeah, those people are really like, you gotta admire those people. People that will tell you, hey, look, man, I think you're cool, but nah.
I just can't see any other reason to keep that line of communication open besides the backup idea. Because if you're really just not interested,
I don't think it's necessarily always that like
you're not interested anymore, but why still maintain that open line of
We're
communication?
still friends. You and I.
I know.
Yeah, you were cool. You
Yeah,
weren't a dick, so it's like,
but we
I don't hate
established that. It wasn't no, you know what I mean? Like that's what it became, and no one actually ghosted each other. But when people ghost, they wish to keep a line of communication open in case somehow interest comes back. Otherwise, you just
I don't know if that's always the answer. I would assume most don't want that.
Right.
Yeah. Actually,
I'll delete, block, and stuff. I don't know.
I'll give you an
That's
example.
a lot of work.
I'll give you an example. Like I understand the blocking stuff, but like in a situation where something doesn't work out, maybe you guys are both like artists or something, and like they actually
Oh,
post cool shit.
collaboration.
They post
Yeah.
cool shit on their like not even collaborate. Maybe they just post cool shit on their page, and you're like,
Okay,
man,
fair.
I still want to see this. This is like pretty dope. You know?
Fair.
So,
Yeah.
Just don't
yeah.
look at their
Yeah.
stories though.
Okay, no. It's like this is after the conversation of, hey, this isn't working out.
Right. But you cool.
Yeah, but you cool.
Let's
but
be
it's
friends. Yeah, and there you go. Like,
not reply, and then like I'm asking you, hey, like what's up, and you're still not replying, and then you're like looking at my story, like, are you weird?
I guess.
So
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one more point for why people might trend towards ghosting. I would say at least 50% of the time when I write that message saying, hey, you know, thanks a lot, but I'm not really interested. Like, best of luck to you, though. I would say 50% of the time, I get a lot of anger and resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Well,
you mentioned earlier, yeah, safety, man. Like,
Yeah.
just send the message and then block them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. You don't at that point, yeah, you really don't need a response, right? Because you've said your piece. Ghosting, they might even always think that's well, yeah, because if the line of communication is still there, they might still think you're accessible. If you just stop messaging, then they might message you, 6 months later when it's your birthday, and they say happy birthday, and
Yeah.
shit opens up again. Okay. There was one thing I wanted to say about. I don't remember now.
All right.
Oh, right.
What is that?
Oh.
I was gonna ask Krista, what is that you're drinking?
Wine.
Oh,
A good
I thought
wine.
it was prune juice. I'm kidding.
No.
Oh, it's that dusty bottle one that I always see. Is it
Ooh,
good
I
wine?
love it.
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yo, not gonna lie, your friend Beth was killing Paul.
oh, I'm good with that.
Okay,
I
I'm
was
so
like, oh my
sorry.
god.
Oh, that doesn't offend me at all.
She sent me a message and was like, he reminds me of this guy that we knew when we were younger who was a complete asshole. And I was like, he's not that guy.
Oh,
Like
okay.
he's a nice person, yeah.
No,
There's a
honestly,
picture.
it doesn't bother me at all.
You
Like,
screenshotted?
There's
what I
a
do for
there's a
work.
picture of you at one point where she was talking. I was like, yo, this guy is about to cry.
Oh, I was on my phone. I was texting FA.
No, it's because Deji he's like, yo, Paul getting cooked, and I'm like, he's fine, and then I messaged out to you,
Oh,
just
no.
like, yo, you good?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
I
But
thought-
that is her
Not
sense
so
of
bad,
humor
yo.
too.
No,
She's
because,
like dry and harsh.
I gathered that, yeah, eventually.
Man,
She's
Jesus.
the
no,
best.
like, and it's everyone has their own different ways of viewing things. Like, to her, I could see that she's got standards of how etiquette and human beings should act.
Mm,
I am more fluid in that.
yeah.
As, like,
Mm.
I
Don't-
mean, in psychiatry, I have to see people, and I know that people have different walks of life and how they react and what they've gone through. So it doesn't bother me, like when people have a different set of standards, and everyone wants more empathy. Like I understand that completely. Like being someone who ghosts people, yeah, it's like an asshole thing for sure, because like it's lacking empathy, right? But like that's how the game has been kind of played now, and I think it was more of an age thing, like versus
The
the general
gender.
culture. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's just a different way like dating has been lately. So I mean, and like I said, I'm not gonna be offended if people ghost me now because like it'd be just very hypocritical of me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm guessing most people who take part in the behavior aren't phased by it, right?
I mean, there's always definitely a sense of selfishness. Like I'm not gonna deny that. Like I'm not gonna deny that I've been selfish. Like I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but I'm not gonna deny it's part of the human condition. That's how we are as people.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt other people, at the same time protect our own feelings from hurting someone else. So like I'm not really offended when someone says like, oh, this asshole here doing this and whatever. I'm like, well, okay. Like, it's fair because maybe someone was hurt by something I did when I actually did ghost them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's that person's voice. She's speaking for the people that I've hurt. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be offended by that.
Look at this empathetic guy. You're a nice guy,
I'm a
man.
psychiatrist. I have to deal with this all the time.
I deal with crazy people all the time. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Meth is a hell of a drug. Like, you're just nonstop. So, like,
Wait, people who do meth can afford
no, my
psychiatry?
psychiatry is not like, no, mine's like you're psychotic, suicidal.
Oh wow.
Like the real sick, real
Heroin.
mentally ill.
Heroin.
Yeah, heroin, meth, all that stuff.
Oh man.
It's not cocaine.
Severe
It's not
childhood
cocaine
trauma,
psychiatry.
severe trauma, like talking prison, talking jail, talking forensic psychiatry holds. Like, that's what I deal with. So that's why I'm like, okay, she could take shots at me. Like, my patients, like,
It's content.
they call me stupid. They try and kill me all the time. Like,
Entertainment.
Oh man. That's sick. I like that.
well, because you just learn that, like, for me personally, like, yeah, I've gone through it, but subjectively, like, I could let it affect me, or I could just say, like, I've seen so many people who are just way worse than I've ever been, like, even at my
Sure.
worst, that, like, and that's their baseline. Like, what's there to be so upset about, really? So,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah, respects.
And if,
I like that.
it's okay though. I'm like, okay, if she's like, yeah, that's fine. Because I know she's coming from a place where she's trying to be empathetic to the people I've hurt.
Yeah, all I know is if that was me, I would have been like, yo, Paige, yo, what's up with your girl?
No, I want to see
Single
her.
tear.
I still want to hear
Like, yo, like,
conversation. No, that's the point of this, so I could hear the conversation.
And it wasn't it wasn't a personal attack. It was just
No.
it's
No, it was just
objectively
his butt
it was objectively, observing and
Yeah, I wasn't-
analyzing.
I'm not trying to defend the behavior of, like, ghosting, because I know it's like, empathy wise, like, it's
it's the
terrible.
culture.
But I'm just saying, like, people do it. It's cultural. It's like, and quite frankly, as human beings, we don't really owe other human beings anything. We choose to do so from the bottom of our hearts, and we choose to do so when we actually do something nice for somebody.
Right.
Like, I don't expect it out of people. I just, that's why I'm more grateful when people are actually doing that for me. Like, when people are actually willing to communicate, I'm more grateful for
It means
that.
more, yeah.
I'd rather have, I consider it now. I know it shouldn't be the standard it should be the standard that people communicate. But looking at it this way, I'm more grateful when people communicate. I'm more grateful for it.
It's probably a more healthy view. Probably make
Yeah,
everyone
that's
happier.
pretty objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I have an advantage where I see trouble mentally, and this is my job. So, like, I'm been conditioned this way.
Yeah.
So
No, that's real.
we also get our own therapists when we're, like, in training. So it helped a lot. Like, life coaches, therapists. Woo, that shit helps.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
How many of you guys would have liked that post?
The original.
No, I
post?
saw it and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think I liked it after y'all sent it to me, but
I don't know.
I like
Like,
your FJ. I really liked your perspective on it, where you said it was enabling.
Mm.
That was a different perspective for me, and I was like, oh shit. I mean, yeah, like, I could definitely see it now from that perspective. I'm like, that was eye opening, and I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
Dislike.
I didn't take it as because what did you say? Oh, your thing is like blocking it. What does it say? What someone's really saying when they ghost you?
Yeah. What someone is really saying when they ghost you. Can you read it, or I mean?
Yeah, I read it before, like earlier when you sent it, but I didn't really
Yeah.
take it as like the end all be all reason. Like I just took it as a perspective of like, just like that person that is scared, You know, I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily take it for like as, oh, this is why everyone ghosts people. You know, so like I may have liked it. I don't know. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this person exists. They're part of the spectrum, you
Yeah.
know. But then
Okay.
there's like the other people that are just like dicks.
Yeah,
Top comment. One of the top comments was, sometimes people get accused of ghosting by toxic people who will not accept healthy boundaries, and the person finally has to just gray rock them. Yeah, we get that. We get that it brings to that like unhealthy, dangerous level where it's like it's a last resort type of thing. I get that, you know. That's different. That's obsessive. I'm talking about the initial front of this activity. So
Great
oh,
rockers.
see, I like this. Call me insensitive, this cowardly and weak to me. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
See? But 15,824 plus Ren think it's cool. Just called you out,
it's
Ren.
always nice just to have someone articulate something that you might have been feeling or
Yeah.
thinking of, or like giving you a different perspective.
It's weird. I feel like when you ghost somebody, like in my experience, I don't think I was like thinking about all these reasons and the whole paragraph or the novel that person wrote. I was just like, oh, I just don't want to talk to you anymore, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't think so deep about it.
So, I have some controversy. Kyle just said, I agree with the post in the case of an actual relationship, but if it's just strangers chatting, nah. So, an actual relationship ghosting someone.
That's worse.
I don't know,
No,
man.
that's never
I don't think
okay.
that's
That's
ever
never
okay.
okay.
No,
No.
Oh, Kyle, you on the chopper block?
We have a problem, Kyle.
What? I'm trying to understand his take.
If you're in a
Like,
relationship and you ghost me, you will become a ghost.
Yo.
Okay, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
maybe what I said is opposite. He says, "Oh, maybe. Okay, I could take it the other way. I guess. Yeah.
What?
Okay. Maybe he meant the other way. Like in a relationship, nah. But if it's just chatting and talking, then
Okay.
yes.
I definitely think like 100%. I think it's doing someone dirty if you like get intimate and everything. Then it's all of a sudden, that I've never done.
Not one night stands.
I want to, yeah, but you know, we'd at
I
least.
think with a one night stand, yeah, there can be that expectation that it is a one night stand.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
You
if
have
it's
to just-
agreed. Okay.
Yeah.
But what if
Unless
one person
only
thinks
one
it is,
person
but the other
thinks.
doesn't? Exactly.
Well, that's not okay.
It's sexy.
But hey, you still got yours. They both did. So there's a little.
Man, that actually happened to a friend of mine.
There's a
recently.
little
Well,
win there. That's happened to
actually,
me. Bless my
Actually, no, because like the person came back and apologized for the awkwardness, so I guess it doesn't count.
heart. See, honorable there.
Yeah, but she called me because like she met this guy and she wasn't planning to like do anything with him. They were at a party or whatever, and they like went into like their friend's room and like did the shit, and then like he like finished and she didn't like finish, and then he like left. No, she said he fell asleep, and then like he like just like left shortly after, and then she called me because she was like, yo, like that felt kind of like fucked up, like. Because she hadn't been with anyone in like 2 years. And then like she was like, okay, I didn't even plan for this to happen. And then like this was just like awkward. And then like he like just left. And then
And they haven't talked since?
no. And then like she said like they went to dinner afterward and then like
Okay.
yeah.
There was some resolve. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally
But
different.
if it was just
Yeah.
like at that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, that's crazy, yo.
So
Yeah.
I have a super awkward ghosting story if you guys want. And it's not even the original one we talked about last time. It's a new one that I thought of. It's worse.
That's worse.
It's worse.
Yikes.
Okay.
Okay. So it's gonna make me sound like such a loser.
All giggly.
This was in university, and I knew this guy because he was a bouncer at this bar we always went to, and I ended up renting a place from him. So he was my landlord now, and we always kind of flirted, and then eventually, this is so bad. Eventually, like there was one night we were chatting on MSN. That's how long ago this was. And I was super drunk, and he made some comment like, well, why don't I just come over? And I was like, oh yeah, you should come over. And he actually like came over. He was a landlord. Like he came over, he had the key. He like showed up in my room. I was drunk. I was like, okay, let's make out.
Gosh.
Guys, he never talked to me again. And he was my landlord. He ghosted me.
He was
and
embarrassed.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think he did end up apologizing.
How can he ghost you
Years
though
and
if you
years
still
later.
have to collect
God.
rent though? Like,
Right? So like,
Fuck.
yeah, it was super fucked up. He didn't talk to me anymore. I ended up just like giving my rent to my roommate, and she paid. But years and years later, like let's say 10 years later, he did like run into me and he apologized profusely.
Oh my
for
goodness.
his
That's nuts.
for what though? Like you invited him. So
Well, okay. So I was drunk and I was like, yeah, come over. He took a key.
but that
he
yeah,
had,
that part.
came in.
Yeah,
I
that's-
mean,
that's-
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it
he
is
like
fucked
let
up.
himself in.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
mean-
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a separate issue. But
what was the like age difference?
oh, like a year. Like he
Oh,
was like
okay.
my age. Yeah, he was young.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, but definitely like your landlord ghosting you is brutal.
All right.
Oh.
I got
Okay.
That's
That's
yo, Paul, thank you, man. Peace. Kyle did
Alright.
say that after reading that post again, he doesn't agree with it in any case. Saved.
He was always arguing against it.
I guess so.
Oh.
But yeah, okay. Any final thoughts, anybody?
Yeah, if we're in a relationship and you ghost me, you're gonna become a ghost. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I mean,
I still think
And
I'm
Dad's
gonna.
make you a ghost.
I will.
what you say? My dad's gonna make you a ghost?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I guess
I will be
yeah.
a ghost in your room. Hey, where'd you go?
I would say. I mean, I think I need to. Because if I've been ghosted too, right? So, and after a certain time, you know, if let's say I do open up communication again, there is that chance, even though I through experience as well. Let's say thing kind of faded a little bit, and then you just don't chat for like a while, and then you know maybe you're focused on someone else, and then you're not focused on that person anymore. I go back on the app, I'm just scrolling through my inbox, I'm like, oh look, there's still some people here that are still on this app, and then I message sometimes in my weakest moments, and then they reply, and then things kind of maybe start up again. At least it's a little bit entertaining or whatever, but it doesn't really end up going anywhere. But even being ghosted, there is still that chance for that access both ways. So I think what I'm going to learn from this podcast is even when I'm ghosted too, and I was probably, I don't want to ghost, is if it's definitive, I'm just going to delete. If it's not going to go anywhere further from that point, it's just definitive to delete from the app. At least that's what I'm going to do. That's what I've taken from this podcast. I'll delete. I'm going to clear up my inbox for all these like useless things. It's not like a collection.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Another thing that I like to like the way I like to think about it is what is like history taught me. Like if you think about it logically, like the people that you quote unquote are like leaving around, like I know Paul here, but like the people that you're leaving around and something might potentially happen. Since like your entire history of that experience, has anything happened? So it's like that's how I would approach it. Like
Right.
Fair.
Are you really that
you know,
interested?
it's like
Fair.
it's like probably not gonna work.
It's a low percentage of success, but you never know. Maybe they went through therapy, and maybe they just realized, and like, oh wow. Or maybe that someone goes through a transformation, start working out, then they're hot all of a sudden. I don't know.
Less likely.
Still very low percentage of success, I'd say. True. Might as well
But
make it definitive.
Out of those ones that are in your inbox and nothing's really happened in a while, are any of them ones that you're like, oh, there was such great chemistry there, like great conversation? Like maybe save the few. Oh, if it's not even that amazing, then why save them at all?
True.
Yeah, true.
Save your energy for the ones that are awesome.
Mm-hmm. But I still I appreciate that sentiment too. But I think even if that timing and that encounter wasn't enough to pursue it and to push it further at that point, it's probably still in my best interest to just leave it then. Just leave it and put it behind me and look ahead. So yeah, that's what I'm going to take from this anyway. And I won't be asking for Instagrams and then and then just not say anything. or even delete. Oh man, I don't know. I gotta be careful with that. I don't know. I definitely ask though, because sometimes the profile doesn't show enough. Thanks guys. Thank you. Anyone else want to parting words? Thank you guys for tuning in. But anyone? You all good? We'll see you guys next week on Thursday. I'm gonna probably, you know what? We'll try it next week, 9:30 p.m. If anyone wants to come out, I don't know what we're gonna talk about yet, but I think next week I'm gonna try to push it an hour earlier, 9:30 p.m. Eastern for BrackCast number 42. Thanks, guys. If you like this video, click like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the next one comes out. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Oh, my music stopped so long ago. Oh yeah, Paige always. She always thinks